Blog Talk Radio.
Okay, here we go. That music is still going. Hold on. Nothing like having little difficulties. Okay. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Bonnie Bradshaw. Our special guest tonight is the wonderful, creative Lydia Joyner Filmaker, and I'm going to cut that off again. It looks like they just want to play. They just want to serenade you, Lydia. All right, so Lydia, I invited Lydia tonight to share a very important message with our listeners. So I'm going to turn it over to Lydia at this time. Lydia, if you don't mind sharing your websites and the film site, your campaign, and then tell us a little bit about what got you started in what you're doing right now.
Okay, thank you. Hi, guys. My name is Lydia Joyner, and I have been putting together this campaign that I'm running right now to raise awareness and for our abused children and adults to raise their voices and to, really be able to find their authentic selves and, not let the abuse be a part of who they are when it comes to really being able to accomplish the things that they want to do. So I put together my story. I was a foster child, and there's a lot of details to the story, and I'll definitely get to that. But I wrote my experiences into a screenplay, and now I am in the process of fundraising to get the story on film. And the music is cracking me up.
And something is going on here. Hold on just a second. You there, Lydia?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what that was.
You there, Lydia? Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
We're going away.
Do you have
Lydia,
it on in the background? Because I hear the echo of it in the background.
I do, but I've turned it completely down, so I'm not sure what is going on there. But anyway, let's get back to it. Your website, and you've got a campaign going, and your message is a message I believe that everybody needs to hear, and it's something in my heart that's very close to me. I've been a foster parent for over 21 years, and there's probably not a story out there that I haven't heard or helped with or fought for. When it's a person, you've gone through it firsthand. And your story, I've watched your film clips and listened to you and read, your things that you've placed on Facebook, and it's amazing, and I feel very blessed to have had the honor of meeting you and being able to bring you forward like this. Guys, the one thing that I'm asking all my listeners for and friends is to get behind this film with Lydia. Get behind it. Help her to be able to raise the money that she needs to raise to get this film done. Because how many trashy films do we get to watch on TV day in and day out? And it's just to see something that's true and something that's real, something that we can wrap ourselves around and support. There's just not enough of that out there. We see make-believe, we see all the horrifying things that you get tired of watching. So, Lydia, tell us, what can we do to help you to be able to get this film done? What is the process that you're going through, and what do you need from the listeners and all the agencies that could wrap themselves around you?
I will definitely answer those questions because they're so important, and everybody needs to know, that this has really been difficult, just getting people to come forward to even look at the campaign, because there's just so much out there. And I think when people see abuse, that they're so overstimulated by it that they just want to turn it off and they don't want to, actually look at it. But this story is not just about abuse or just about foster care. It's about how two girls, my cousin and I, come from the same exact life and end up completely different. And it's by the choices that we make and the people who have their hands within our lives and that are encouraging and supporting us. And I'll just tell a little bit about my story and how I got to the process of where I am, and then I'll give the information because, I don't want to just throw information in the beginning, because I really want, you guys to know how much this means to me and why it does. And I was put in foster care when I was about 7 years old with my cousin and I. My mother was paranoid schizophrenic, and she was a prostitute and horribly addicted to drugs. And in the 80s, they really didn't have a lot of help for mental illness. It wasn't something, it was more of a stigma, and, they just gave them tons of medication, and they weren't properly taken care of. And so my mom really had a lot of issues, and she had a mental breakdown and had an episode that was so bad that she had gotten into her car with my cousin and I and driven down the road screaming that people were after her, and we had gone through the windshield of her car, landed on the hood. Both of us ended up unconscious, and my mom ran into the emergency room screaming that the mafia blew her car up, and she was barefoot and naked. And so we ended up going into the foster care system after, 7 years of the abuse that had already happened up to that point. And then my cousin and I had been separated, and we kept in touch with each other through a journal that we would send back and forth to each other. And so it was really tough, and there's still, a lot of things that I haven't been able to really deal with. But the ones that I have and the ones that I've written about in this screenplay really, I think, will make such a difference because the reason that I decided to go towards doing the movies was, there's so many reasons, and I definitely want to get into that. But the way that the story came about was I was, homeless when I was in high school. I was still cheerleading. I was still in orchestra. I was still in theater, and I was doing all of these things, and I was living in my car. And, so many people, like when they started to find out what was going on, came forward. And so I was just going from, one friend's house to the next. And I had walked into a salon at one point, and it was almost time for prom, and I really needed my hair done. And I asked, I said I didn't have any money. Could you guys please help me? And this lady just, turned around and she said, sit in this chair. And she did my hair, and still to this day she does my hair. And she got all of her clients to put money together to help me go into my first apartment. So I just wanted to say that, like, I had people when it was, like, at the darkest moments for me. I really had people, come into my life, which made a huge difference for me. And once I got to the point where I was in my own apartment, I got all of my foster care files. And it was just, it was really cold and hard and just black and white and factual, and there was no story and there was no life. And I got really upset over the idea of, all the statistics out there. I was told that I was supposed to be homeless and uneducated. I was supposed to be pregnant. I was supposed to be in jail. And I was, supposed to end up like my mother, or I was supposed to just be dead. And it was just like such a stigma underneath, like a black umbrella of like who you were supposed to be, like this cookie cutter of an abused child in foster care. And
that's what people expect you to be, because the majority, unfortunately, that's what happens. And I believe it happens like that because there's not enough support. And even though people want to help, it's just such a big problem that it's easier, it seems, for people to walk away thinking that there's somebody else that's going to be willing to step up.
Yeah, and that's a huge issue, and there's so many issues that surround, abused kids and foster kids, and then, and then if you don't do anything about it by the time that you're 21 or 22, it's at that point that it almost seems hopeless, and then when you get into your 30s, the world forgets about you, and you're not a foster kid anymore, and there's not a lot of support out there for you, so you really have to, embrace and accept your life. And you have to have people there to help you do it, and you have to take responsibility for yourself and know that you control your destiny when it comes to your own success. You have to work hard for it, and that's where I came out with this idea of doing a movie, because I had these documents and I knew that I had to do something with them, and I didn't know what. And do I speak about them? Do I do a documentary about them? And something kept telling me that it just wasn't big enough. Something had to be bigger, because we had to hit people on a platform where everybody goes and sees and goes through like the adventure of it. And I thought, that's it. I love the movies. I love, filmmaking. I've been working in it since I was 15 years old. That's what we're going to do. We're going to write, and we're going to put together a movie. And then when people are in this movie theater and the lights go out, they resonate in this, and imagery and music stimulates them in their hearts and their minds, and things will get stuck in their head, and they'll think about it, days, weeks, years later, and this movie will always be there. And it's not a documentary, showing, like the kids being homeless on the street. It's showing the experience of, a human, and there's, compassion and connection with it. And so that's how I got to this point. And this is where, like, the hard part is. It wasn't as hard as going through the abuse at all, because now I'm dealing with a whole different world. It's not, me just telling my story and people being inspired over it. It's saying, I also need you to help support me financially, and that's the hardest thing to ask anybody for, because, the economy, everybody's strapped, everybody's giving to their own causes, so it's been tough.
I'm sure. I mean, you've got to raise. How much money are you looking to raise?
Our total goal, and this is another thing that's really beautiful, we are partnering with 2 organizations, and I will be releasing the organizations this week. We're working out the details with them, but they're 2 beautiful organizations for abused kids, and we will be giving a percentage of what we make to them. But the entire budget for a film, and that includes the equipment, the cast, the crew, transportation, feeding them, lodging, all of the things that, people may not realize that goes into filmmaking. With that, as an independent film, at the lowest that we can actually go to make all of this happen is $375,000. And as of right now, with cash and credit cards, we have $6,000, and it's amazing because in Indiegogo, a lot of people have heard of the woman that was on the school bus, Karen in the school bus through Indiegogo, of this child that placed about this woman that needed this bus, and that he put $5,000 to raise, and then the whole entire world came together, and she has over $500,000 right now. So I know that if our community, if our people, from our churches, from schools, if they even if they just donated a small amount, all of it counts. Every bit of it is so important, because this is like the whole important deal about this film is we're not doing investors and not having one person write a big check. I wanted this story to go out to people because this is making an example for our kids. They're seeing me. I'm very real and honest, and I can talk about a lot of stuff. And I just want them to see that this is not easy. I'm starting from the ground up making this film, and the more people involved, the more the story's shared, and the more that everybody's seeing that you really can, do what you want to do with your life. You just have to still have support from the community. And then you have to give back to the community also. It can't just be just for yourself.
That's right. Lydia, what is your experience in the filmmaking industry?
I love this story because everybody always just thinks it's, so funny. But when I was 15, I was trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do, and I always loved working in theater. And I actually had done some stuff on stage and ended up doing some, stuff for Nickelodeon and Disney as a kid. With all this happening, so I saw an ad on the internet to go work as a production assistant, which is the lowest level of that you can take when you're in film. You basically run around and get coffee for everybody. And they couldn't tell me what it was for. It was confidential, and they said, but if you show up on the property and you sign a release, then we'll interview you, and if you're fit for us, then you can work with us. So I got into this show, and I was working with them. It was in Key West, Florida, and I was sleeping in my car because I didn't have money to pay for room and board while we were filming for 3 months. And one day the security guard was also out there, and he was fishing, and he saw me in the car, and he ended up telling the producer, hey, did you know that one of your employees is sleeping in their car? So the producer came out and said, I'm really sorry. He's like, but you cannot be doing this. He's like, we'll get in a lot of trouble. He goes, here, and he pulled out his wallet, and he gave me $20, and he booked a hotel room for me. He said, go get something to eat, and he says, please. He's like, just come back to work the next day. And so, right, it was beautiful. It was so sweet, and it ended up being for The Real World, for MTV, which is, reality TV, but that's how I got my start in filmmaking. And I just continued from there. I have worked for Lifetime, The Balancing Act. I was the producer's assistant on there. I've worked for Harpo when they came and did Clean Up Your Messy House tour here in Atlanta for the Georgia Tech apartments for the kids. I've done everything from MTV, BET, TLC, all that kind of stuff. And the last show I actually worked on was for toddlers and tiaras, and it broke my heart. I was devastated working for them. It really was truly like child abuse watching that show. The kids were just, screaming and crying. They didn't want to be doing a lot of the stuff that the parents were pushing them into, and I was behind the scenes watching it, and I felt like I was condoning it just by being there. And so I had met Nicole Potter, which is my partner and producer for our company, Walla Walla Bing Bing Productions. And I said, I got to stop doing this. I can't do this anymore. It has to be something that I care about. We have to be making films to create freedom for ourselves that we can actually feel good about ourselves. And so that's how I got started with this whole process. And, we've been working on it for, almost up to a year now.
Wow. Okay, let's see.
I know.
Go ahead. Wow. I mean, I could just sit here and cry. It just seems like there's so many people that have been there for you along your walk. And the one reason that I asked about the film, your experience, is because I know that a lot of people that want to give money, they don't want to give money to just anybody who says, I want to make a movie. I wanted to bring out the fact that you know what you're doing, you have experience in doing this, so it's just not something you woke up one day and said, oh, I'm going to do a movie. So that was real important, to me, to make sure that you brought that out, because I've read about that. Now,
right.
Tell our listeners a little bit more about what is your deadline? When would you like to see this movie complete? Do you have a goal?
I do have a goal, and I'll just say something about what you were saying right now, because it is so important that people know this, that, I've had people from biological family members coming out of the woodworks, and they've been writing all over the place saying that.
And that was my next question coming up.
Yeah, it's been really tough because they have been putting stuff on Facebook, and I've been running around all day making sure that there's nothing on there, and they've been coming up with different aliases, and it's really been this crazy thing where I remember what it was like to be this abused child, where when I was in this certain home that I was at, and I had there was a big sexual abuse case that was going on, and the social worker had come into the home, and she flat out in front of everybody asked me if it was true, and I stood there and I couldn't move. I mean, I felt like concrete had just been filled in my body. Like I couldn't speak or anything, and the only thing that could come out of my mouth was no. And they put me in the car, and then this certain person came out to the side of the car and just said, I just don't want, you to end up like your mom, and, said these really awful names and said, you're just a promiscuous teen, and I just couldn't handle it. And all of those things that I've worked so hard to get past, as soon as this happened, came all back again. It was like, and I just remember like that, feeling of not being able to move. It's like that you either fight or flight kind of thing. And right. And I was like the bunny in the woods that couldn't move. And so as all of this is happening, it's really tough because you only get 60 days during your campaign when you do a crowdfunder, and half of our days have already come and gone. So now we're at 38 days left to raise the rest of the money for the campaign and also give back to the organizations that we're going to be tying the knot with this week. So it's really been tough, but I know that it can happen because, I've seen other campaigns for movies that are way less when it comes to information and social issues, and they make their goal, which is why I'm so happy that you have me here, Bonnie. It means so much to me because I think that this is how it happens. I think that people get the money for these independent films through the way that I'm doing with you right now. You just have to have people believe in you and, rest and assure that, you're not out to get money from people. I barely, I've been diluting milk for my kids out of my fridge and,
I read that.
I'm serious. I'm not even kidding. And my daughter, she had the stomach flu last week, and we didn't even have wipes to take care of her. I was giving her a bath every 20 minutes. So.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, but I don't mind that though.
Well, I think I talked to you the other day, and I told you that I had a dream, and it was crazy. After I'd met you and talked to you some, I went to bed that night, and I dreamt that every person on Facebook had a vision of just sending you $1. Can you imagine
if that came true, it would be done.
I know,
done,
right?
It's over with.
Just $1. That's not even the price of a cup of coffee anymore. That's cheaper than buying a Coke at a convenience store. I don't know what they are where you are, but they're $1.59 here. So if everybody just gave $1, if every Sunday school class just got together and gave $1 from each person every week and just sent it to you, it wouldn't hurt anybody, and you would have more than enough money to get this done, and maybe even start something to be able to help other abused children and children that have gone through what you've gone through. I see this exploding for you.
You know what? I really just keep saying those words and let it float up to God. I do believe everything you're saying, and I do know that it is possible. I think that the message just needs to be clear that everybody knows, exactly what it's about, and they can see so much information on the website, and they'll see the trailer. I'll just talk a little bit about that because we really wanted to do something that was real and honest to let people know that it is my story. And when you watch the trailer on the campaign or the website, it's on both of them. The two little girls on there, there's a blonde and a brunette, and that's my cousin and I. And,
who's in the water?
That's a little girl, actually, that we filmed when we were in Florida, and she's playing my character as an older child.
Okay.
Yeah. But the two little girls that are dancing and, twirling in the white dresses, that's my cousin and I. And the white cards that pop up are from, documents from my abuse. And, so it is all very much, from me in my life. And, I really, want this. If I were to get anything out of this film, I don't care about, the fame and the glory of it, because I never actually was a person to be up in front of the camera. I always loved to be behind it. I know from, the bottom of my heart that kids turn on the TV and everything seems so easy. There's no work behind it. They see celebrities and they see Hollywood, and it all seems like, other people's lives are much more glamorous and bigger, and there's no way that they could get there. And whether you want to be a horse trainer, or, you want to be, a teacher or a vet, or you want to be a filmmaker or an artist, all of those things are attainable. And I just want our kids and even our adults. I mean, there's, alumni that I've been talking to from foster care alumni off of Facebook, and, they're getting their college degrees in their 40s and 50s. And it's so important. We don't die until we die. And so we're supposed to try up until that point. And I just want people to embrace themselves and know that they're valued and that they're worthy, and that they're beautiful, and that they can make a stamp in the world doing what they love, because once they find out what they love, then their purpose is golden, and, they'll sparkle from then.
That's right. And sometimes we don't find out what we're good at, or what truly the one big thing that truly ignites the fire in us until we're older. But if we start looking younger and believing that we can, at a younger age, then we can start much sooner than some like myself. I've lived through some of, that's why I can relate to you. And I've lived through some of it, and I've had the put-downs, and it was years into my adulthood before I believed in myself. It's when I met my husband, and today's our 20th wedding anniversary.
Oh.
But it's when I actually met him, and he just poured positive into me. I mean, I was just this little rag doll when we met emotionally. And now, I mean, I can do anything, and I found my voice, which is my voice, for kids and
right.
for helping other people to get it going. And, abuse, because it happens right under our noses, and most of the time we don't know the signs and symptoms, so we're oblivious to it. So, Lydia, we only have 2 minutes and 45 seconds left, so can you go through your campaign website, your official website, your Facebook, so people can join you there?
I definitely will. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. It means so much to me. If you would like to donate or share the link to our campaigns to other people, it is www.indiegogo.com/SunnyLaneMovie. That's INDIEGOGO.com/SunnyLaneMovie. And you can also get to this site by going to our website, which is www.sunnylanefilm.com. And you can go to donations or the Indiegogo campaign underneath the donations site. And I can give you, Bonnie, information to put on there, too, with my email and stuff.
Okay. And, guys, all my friends on Facebook, all you guys that are listening right now, you can also go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Bonnie S. Bradshaw, and Lydia's information will be there as well. You can email me at bonniespeaks@me.com, and I can forward you all her information as well. And just pass the word. Everybody that's listening, if you do one thing, if you can't afford to give $1 to her campaign, then at least pass this along. On your Facebook, tell everybody about Lydia and her cause and the film, and just give them an opportunity to stop by her website and just look and check it out themselves, because who knows, they may be interested in helping. You just don't know who is going to actually see it and want to jump in and give you a hand. So, Lydia, I just want to say thank you. We've got 30 seconds left. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here today and telling your story, telling us about what you're doing and how you're taking a stand for these kids and for yourself. and to reach out and help the future generations. We all need to really realize what's going on out there in the world and what's happened in the past. So, Lydia, we love you and we wish you well, and just stay in touch with us so we can keep letting our listeners know what's going on with you.
Thank you so much. I love you so much, Bonnie. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay. I just clicked us out. Okay. You there?